Good morning everyone. So I hope you've had a lovely weekend. This is going to be a rather nice relaxing chill out project which has some good core drawing skills, don't get me wrong, but ultimately there's a lot of going back to school and having that fun and playing and sticking and making a bit of a mess, not worrying about it too much. So what you're going to need for this project ultimately is some paper to do some drawing on, and then you're going to be collaging up on. So make sure your paper's over 200 GSM. That way it'll take the glue nice and easy and give you some options. You need your reference image, and you can see here, oops, it goes, I'm trying to get everything off without pulling it off. I'm going to be doing this one of these two flowers, which is royalty free from Pexels, Diego Megarera. And it's a beautiful shot. So first of all I'm going to transfer that on, and then I'm going to be collaging it up. And to do my collaging I'm obviously going to need some paper. So I've got some bits of magazine that I've cut out that I thought were roughly the kind of colour shades I want to take. I've got some patterned paper that I've ripped out of a book that I thought was also quite nice. And I got some plain sheets of coloured paper, but green and red, because ultimately this is a green and red flower. Give me some options there. Now that will mean that I'll need some scissors to cut up my paper. I'll also need a brush, and I've got a big and a small brush with some PVA glue to apply it and stick it down to my sheet. Now before I can get into that, I need to get the drawing sorted out. So if I put this collaging material to one side, including my glue and my scissors and my paintbrush, just like so, I'm going to quickly grab a pencil. I've got a standard HB pencil here, an eraser plus obviously a sharpener, and get some decent drawing laid out. So to get this, which this one here is a little bit of a tricky flower. This one's far easier on the side view. You can work things out easier. This has got some like really weird distortions. So I warn you now, when you get the drawing done, it may look a little bit strange until we get the colour put in. Keep that in mind, okay? I'm going to start plotting out this picture and keeping it with the simplest form to start with. So when you're drawing, you're looking at putting down the simplest structures and then building up towards the detail and the complex parts of the design. So if you see here, you can got like a circle or an oval, and then here it's more triangular. If I'm holding the end of my pencil and I'm getting that rough position so I can see how big it's going to be on my piece of paper so it's not falling off, that's going to be around my scale mark. And then over here I've got a triangle. You can see that's quite easy to get. Okay. Then the best way of dealing with flowers is usually to find the centre point. Because you're seeing a lot more of this left hand side than the right hand side of the petal, you know that you've got to put that centre point towards the right. And I'm just going to put like a cross mark. I'm going to do it a little bit darker than I would normally recommend so that you can see what I'm doing. So go over those lines. Okay, once I've got that cross mark, then I need to start putting in the segments of each petal. So if I've got a petal that's going to be around here, this one, I'm going to end up moving probably that crosshair over a bit just to give me enough room, because I can see that I'm already breaching in towards where that flower's going to come in. Then I've got to get the petal in for this one. Plus I've got the petal, and this one's nice and straight. You see that angle? You can get that angle correct. I'll make your life a lot easier. Kind of hooking round like so, and you're going to be a lot lighter than I am. I'm being dark so that you can see my thought process and how this is working out. I'm going to widen up that one, and then I'm going to get this one in here, and then I've got this one stretching out. It's really big, this bottom left petal. Okay, and so you can see it's really simple, that's what we're aiming for, okay? Once you've got that simple structure, and you could do that the same over here, or you could work up this flower and then work up. It's usually easier to work up one flower or one segment of the picture and then work into the other segment, because once you know that you've got everything accurately put down on here, you can use it to give you a guide of where everything comes to relationship to it. So I'm going to put this in. I've got stamens just hooking around here, coming up around like so, and then I'm sliding my hand down the pencil, so you notice how my hand's halfway down the pencil rather than really towards the end. I'm going to start looking at the individual shapes of the petals. I'm refining my drawing. Still not going to be perfect, but it's going to be a lot more refined and closer to the truth of the matter. Now I've got that one in here. Now I'm going to get this one in here because I can see this one hits into the curve of that petal. So I know to move that one over, and then that's going to hook up and around like so. Then I can get this petal in here. So I'm looking at the relationship of that. And I'm looking at this angle here because it's quite handy with this design. You can see the way the petals flow out with the patination of the centre. That means that I can shift over the end point over here and give myself a much bigger area to work in around there. So we're going to come over here. Then I'm going to come up here and bring that petal out. So I'm looking at how wide that is in relationship to that. I could measure it if I want to. It's just under double. And that's about right. Get that hook up. Get the indent at the top of the fold of the petal. And then get that petal shape. If I want to, I can put a line in for the centre of the petals just to check that I'm on track with the direction that them flowing at. And before you know it, you can see the flower. Now at this stage, you're ultimately looking at getting your eraser, going over all your guidelines and any perimeters, because that circle, remember, is a rough perimeter that we're putting our flower into. Getting rid of it, because the more lines that you have on your piece of paper, the more confusing it can be to get which one that you want. So try and keep your drawing clean. It's a really good sign of a great artist is keeping their drawings clean. They're precise, they're making decisions, that's what you're going to be doing. Keeping your drawing clean. And you can see already the flower's starting to come together here already, which is a great sign. Then I'm going to slide my hand further down the pencil towards the head of this, and this is going to become much more accurate. So I'm going to come up here. I'm still being very careful with my downward pressure because I don't want to go too dark. I still need to get rid of errors. I'm not a machine, I'm a human being. I'm going to make errors, it's only natural. Hook that in there. I'm going to take this off. And I've got the angle that the petal sits in there. That comes up, and around. And by having a nice, thin, accurately drawn drawing like this, if you decide to take it into pencil drawing, you can shade out these guidelines and it will become invisible and look a much more realistic flower. And you repeat this for the whole process. So once you've done that, you should end up with something that looks a bit like this. Okay. Make sure you go over it, you take out anything that you don't want, and it's a nice, clean, accurate drawing, just to say. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, you can. I thought it might be a bit too light on the pencil lines, but apparently not. If you've done it correctly, you will find that your picture is nice and central. You haven't got bits falling off, particularly handy when you're doing life drawing, because having feet come off the bottom of a picture just wrecks it. And you control the scale, so you can see the original scale was here, and I've blown it up, and I haven't really been measuring. I was just literally using the circle, looking at the centre points, dividing up the flower head into the petals, and then working individual petal shape at a time. Now, then we get on to the fun part with this project. This is when you need your PVA glue, your brush, your scissors and some different coloured paper. So here we go. The collaging part is upon us. Yay! I hope you're all saying this is the fun part. Collaging was really nice, but I just wanted to go over there's two different approaches that you could be taking with this. The first one is the traditional kind of collaging, made famous by artists like Fred Tomasetti. He's an amazing artist, do check him out if you can. Now with him, he cuts out lots of little pictures of flowers. I didn't have loads of flowers, but I did have a magazine with red kettles in, which I thought might be handy for this. There was some pink text. There was also some soup that I thought maybe could be handy. So you can see how abstract the links are. And then for the background, I was looking at green. So you can see here, there was like green bed linen and all manner of advertising colours, prints I got my hands on, and just snapped out of different magazines. So you don't have to do anything expensive or flashy. There you go, nice red jumper by someone, I don't know who. It's up to you, you can go that way if you want, or you can keep it and just go with like printed coloured paper. You can see up here I've got printed paper and I've got some plain coloured paper. It's completely up to you on how you want to deal with this. I'm going to do a little bit of a mismatch of both because I like to cross over and break the rules if at all possible when it comes to art. I think it's so much more fun, and that's what art's about, being a bit more renegade. So what you need to do is, if you want to ultimately make your life easier and get a very accurate representation, you can take a piece of tracing paper, trace out a core segment of your design, such as a petal, and then you can trace in the shape of the red paper or the pattern paper that you've got. Or if you're feeling a little bit more renegade, then as you can see here, I've got a red kettle, so I better check that petal is red. It is. I thought it was off by my memory, but you never can tell. I'm going to then take my red kettle. I'm already sticking my scissors to my pictures, and I'm going to start cutting into my red kettle so that I can use it for that part of my flower. Sometimes it's fun to keep it as a kettle, other times you might just want to cut it out and look at putting it down. There's a colour range that you can get. It's kind of up to you and where you want to go. Remember, because it's collage, I've got these white bands that are coming out here that go into green. I can stick down a load of red and then I can put the white over the top. It's really forgiving and easier going on that level. I'm going to make that red into a little bit more of an orange over here. Get the petal shape so I can do a little bit at a time. That would be rather nice. Yeah, I like that already. I'm going to go for that direction. But like I said, you can trace out and do really accurate different colour segments for different areas. I might do that for the background. Let's just see how it plays out. Wing it. Go by instinct. Not worry too much about the end game. Treat it more like a playing kind of task. It doesn't really matter about the end result. It's having fun and learning something that's important. I'll put my kettle in there. I'm going to stick a little bit more glue over the top because I want my matte bronzer advert to sneak in down there, like so. And I'm going to now start building that all up. Right, so here you can see that I'm getting a lot of red going on. I'm obviously going to break it up with some of the white, but just to, I think, clarify the form and the structure, I'm going to cut some black lines to go around individual petals. You can see here I've got a black picture of a dungeon, as you do, and then I'm going to put down a little bit of glue and kind of border off that petal. And it's mainly you're looking at doing that where you're getting a lot of red into red. With the background, it shouldn't be too bad because you can have a lot of green in there, so it'll contrast against the red. But you might want to put in a little bit of black lines here and there just to clarify areas, which you can see I've done here. Right, so you can see I've just put in some black around. I could do some more around here, which I'll probably sort out in a little while, but I'm just noticing these white into green sections. So what colours have I got? I've got some nice woolly jumper there. I also have, finding it hard to find that minty green. I don't know what I can find with that minty green. It might end up being a little bit of artistic licensing with regards to the minty green. Oh, that's not bad, but this is a landscape that I could use into it. And that might be good for some cream. She says there's some more white objects. So now let's start building up this section. I'm going to start with the white, and I'll just go on this one here since I'm over here and it's got a big area, which makes it life nice and easy. Cut out my shape just like I was doing with the petals. I'm going to use my drawing to guide me. It's going to be way too long, but it's better to be too long so I can shorten it up. And then I look like I need a zigzag line at the end. So if I put my fingers on there and I come in and do some really bad, but you get the idea. See, I've got the main bulk of the flowers done. I do need to do a bit more down here. I'm just going to work on the background a bit now to free it up and see what it looks like. I've taken some pieces of coloured paper, looking at this, and then I've just ripped it up into smaller segments because I quite like the rough edges, but obviously it's up to you on what type of finish you want. And then I'm going to start layering in some glue, as you can see here. And sticking in some colours. I'm looking over here. Just kind of going into the greens. And a little bit of a light shade. Right, so this is roughly my version. It was a very quick version. It's a little bit slapdash, but it gives you some ideas of how you can handle, and you can play around with the paper, stick it down, experiment, see what happens. The wonderful thing with collage is that it's very flexible as a medium, so you can change it and you can lay things down before gluing them, have a think, look at whether things work out, and then glue it down once you're happy. Don't feel like you have to do it first time. The other thing, if you really like precise, crisp edges, then I'd advise a cutting mat with a scalpel. It will give you a beautiful, refined, very accurate mark. This is a little bit more playful and just quirky, having fun. But for a very nicely finished artwork done with a scalpel, you can get some amazing effects. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to go and clean up now. You can see the state of my desk covered in paper as well as the floor. And I will see you all next week. Have a lovely week. Bye everyone.